Okay, in the last video, I gave you an example of son extends father and overrides a method. And when you want to override the method where you want to still keep the same body which was having, so in that case, what he has done is simply called the father's behavior by using the super keyword. But now in this example, I want to give you a more realistic example and real world use of that using the super keyword and calling the method. So what are the phone which I'm having here? Okay, let's call it as an what? An Android phone. See, we are developers. In future, we are going to study the Android development or any other frameworks and all. You would see the much similar API. Now here, what are the blank screen which I am seeing? Okay. Now if I want to, this is basically in Android, it is called as activity. So this is called as activity. What they have done, they given us a class called activity. Suppose if I want to create an blank activity, what I have to do? I don't need to write 1000 lines of code. I just have to create my class. Let's call it as my activity. Extends activity. Now in the activity class, they kept a method called onCreate. They kept a method called onCreate. In this method, they have written the code for creating this blank window. Now what I want to do is, I want to create the blank window, a blank activity like this. On top of that, I want to add my buttons or images or something like that. So I don't want to write these lines of code all by myself to create a blank activity. What I will do, I will create a class called my activity which extends activity. And now in my class, what I will do, I will override on create. After overriding on create, what I will do, I will call super dot on create. So what happens? In my activity, now I have a method called on create. Within that I am calling super dot on create. So what it will do? It will call the code which is present here. So this code creates a blank window. Then on top of that, I'll add some extra lines of code. I'll add some extra lines of code, my code, for adding this button, images, etc. You are going to see such kind of things in future in real world. So for now, you no need to bother so much about it, but understand whatever I taught you. Just to summarize, okay, if you haven't paid the attention, now listen to me now clearly. Android developers have created a API called activity, in which they have a method called onCreate. Just like father had a method called good behavior, the onCreate method of activity class has got some code which creates a blank activity. So if any in Android app, whatever the screen you are seeing, that's basically called as an activity, and it creates a blank activity. Where the code is written? It's written in the onCreate method of activity class. It's written in the onCreate method of activity class. Now, if I want to create this blank window, I'll just reuse the code. How I'm going to do that one? I'll create my class. Let's call it as my activity. Extends activity. What do I do inside this method? I'll recreate onCreate method. Here. But I will call super dot onCreate. So this will make sure it will call the onCreate method defined in activity, which will execute the piece of line which creates a blank activity. Then I will add some of my extra code to add the buttons or images, etc. So in the future, when you start with advanced Java and all, you will actually code some of the project where you will see these things in action. But this is just a real world example to make you understand the use of super keyword.